Title: Inside Titanic's Fatal Mistake. On the evening of April 14th, 1912, the RMS Titanic was crossing the North Atlantic on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York. Commanded by Captain Edward J. Smith, the ship was traveling at nearly full speed and was expected to arrive in New York on schedule. At the time, Titanic was considered one of the safest and most advanced ships ever built. However, events that unfolded that night would turn it into one of history's greatest disasters. Throughout the day, several ships in the area sent wireless messages warning about dangerous ice conditions ahead. These messages reported icebergs, growlers, and large ice fields directly in Titanic's path. The crew received and acknowledged many of these warnings. Some reports even described the ice as extensive and highly dangerous. Despite this information, Titanic continued sailing at almost full speed. The warnings should have raised serious concerns. Icebergs can cause devastating damage to ships, especially at high speeds. Investigators later noted that temperatures were falling rapidly, another sign that ice was nearby. Yet there was no significant reduction in speed. This decision would later become one of the most debated aspects of the disaster. A key question is why Titanic did not slow down. Historians have suggested several explanations. Some believe Captain Smith underestimated the danger and trusted that the crew would spot any iceberg in time to avoid it. Others point to J. Bruce Ismay, chairman of the White Star Line, the company that owned Titanic. Ismay was aboard the ship and closely involved in its operations. One incident has fueled speculation for more than a century. During the voyage, Captain Smith received an ice warning from another ship, the Baltic. He showed the message to Ismay, who reportedly placed it in his pocket and kept it for some time before it was later returned and posted with other warnings. This action led some people to wonder whether Ismay wanted Titanic to maintain speed and arrive in New York on schedule. However, no conclusive evidence has ever proven that he pressured the captain to ignore the warnings. As night fell, conditions became increasingly dangerous. The ocean was unusually calm. While this may sound like good weather, it actually made icebergs harder to detect. Normally, waves crash against the base of an iceberg, creating white foam that can be seen from a distance. On this night, the calm sea produced no such warning signs. The sky was dark and visibility was poor. High above the deck, the lookouts scanned the horizon. They faced freezing temperatures and strong winds that made their job even more difficult. For hours, they searched for signs of ice ahead. At 11:39 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet suddenly spotted a large dark shape directly in front of the ship. Realizing the danger, he immediately rang the warning bell 3 times and telephoned the bridge to report iceberg right ahead. The officers had only seconds to react. First Officer William Murdoch quickly ordered evasive action and signaled the engine room. The crew attempted to turn the ship away from the iceberg, but Titanic was moving too fast and the iceberg was too close. At 11:40 p.m., the massive iceberg struck Titanic's starboard side. Instead of a head-on collision, the iceberg scraped along the ship's hull for several seconds. Although the impact did not seem catastrophic at first, it caused severe damage below the waterline. Several watertight compartments were torn open, allowing freezing seawater to rush into the ship. Titanic had been designed to survive flooding in up to 4 compartments. Unfortunately, the collision damaged more compartments than the ship could handle. As water poured in, the ship's fate was sealed. The iceberg itself was enormous. Experts estimate it may have stood around 60 feet above the water and stretched hundreds of feet in length, weighing possibly more than 1 million tons. It possessed incredible destructive power. Formed from dense glacial ice, it was as hard as rock and capable of tearing through steel. After the collision, crew members assessed the damage and quickly realized the situation was far more serious than anyone had imagined. Water continued flooding the lower sections of the ship, and Titanic slowly began to sink. Passengers were informed of the emergency, and lifeboats were prepared. The disaster that followed resulted in the deaths of more than 1,500 people, making it one of the deadliest maritime tragedies in history. Investigations conducted afterward sought to determine exactly what had gone wrong. Many experts concluded that the sinking was not caused by a single mistake, but by a combination of factors. These included the failure to slow down, despite repeated ice warnings, difficult visibility conditions, the calm sea that made icebergs harder to spot, and the limited time available to avoid the collision once the iceberg was seen. More than a century later, Titanic continues to fascinate historians and researchers. The mystery of why the ship maintained its speed remains a subject of debate. While theories of conspiracy have been proposed, most historians believe the disaster resulted from human error, overconfidence, and a series of unfortunate circumstances rather than any deliberate wrongdoing. The story of Titanic serves as a powerful reminder that even the most advanced technology can be vulnerable when warning signs are ignored. The tragedy changed maritime safety forever and remains one of the most famous disasters in world history.